Think of 300 different ways to say partly cloudy in the morning, sunny in the afternoon.
Well, it gives you a lot of time to write jokes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably a good gig for a comic.
Yeah.
You know? Plus you get on TV if they let you plug your gigs.
Yeah,
Hey, I'll be at the Ice House on Tuesday. Come on down.
Yeah. I think he does well because people see the name and like when they walk into the club, they're like, that's the weatherman. You know what I mean? Like it's an instant recognition kind of gig.
Yeah, but he's got to like keep it super clean, right?
Oh yeah, he's nice.
If you fuck up, if you're a weather guy or a news guy, and if you just stray slightly outside the lines, people are looking to take you down.
But they still do it.
Do they?
That's what's funny. Yeah, you always hear about the little small town weather guy that was in some weird thing, like got caught with a prostitute at a massage parlor. You know what I mean?
That's just life, though.
Yeah, I know, but when you know you're that guy,
right?
Then you know you like gave that up. You know what I mean? Like you're not allowed to do that anymore.
You can't get crazy.
You know, you're like, well, I'm going to be on TV every day, so I can't. You know, I got to give up the hookers and blow.
Yeah, you're not in a band.
Off. Right.
If
or
you're
even
in a band,
comic.
A comic, yeah. We can get busted.
Yeah.
And just you have a new bit. Like look at Cat Williams.
Exactly. I can't think of I don't know what a comic could do. I guess violence would be the only thing unforgivable for a comic. But when it comes to like sex scandals or cheating on your wife or drunk at the airport or whatever, like for comics, they're like, yeah, well.
It just makes you better.
He's on
It'll just have more material. Like, look at Cat Williams. Look at Cat Williams' last special. Half the special was all the shit that he got arrested for over the last 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a trip. Like, I worked on this cruise line, and they said, yeah, Cat came, but he had a gun. And you're just like, well, you brought a gun to a cruise ship. Like, what did you expect to happen on a cruise ship? You know what I mean? Like,
maybe somebody could throw him off. That's what would freak me out about a cruise ship. Yeah. Somebody throwing you off. Because that has happened. Like, some guy threw his wife off. And he's like, oh, I don't know what happened. She was out. She went out to get a drink. And then, and they were like, what? It was like the reaction the guy had to his wife falling overboard, the crocodile tears. And they were like, okay, dude, have a seat. We're going to ask you some questions. How you and Debbie, how you guys getting along? You know? You guys fight a lot?
I do these charter cruises, jazz cruises and stuff. And, after the cruise, the guy who runs it will tell some of the funny stories of what happened while we were at sea. And on one cruise, newlyweds get into a fight the first night. She threw all of his clothes overboard. Everything of his thrown overboard. Wow. They had to bring him to the ship's store, and he had to wear, they sell like the little shorts and the polo shirts from the cruise line, and he had to wear that all week.
Well, I hope he stayed with her. I hope they worked it out.
I don't know how it worked out in the long run. They finished the cruise.
Little throwing clothes overboard. I hope it didn't wreck a beautiful future relationship, beautiful matrimony, beautiful nuptials in the Lord's eyes.
You had to know that was in her, though, right?
You never know, man. I've met people that got married and then immediately afterwards their chick became a nightmare.
Really?
Yeah. I've heard that more than once.
I've heard some things, but like to that extent. I would think there'd be flashes of psycho prior to that level.
I don't know. My buddy said when his girl got pregnant, like she was a little irritable because, she was pregnant. But he said, but then after the baby came, like once she realized that he was never going to leave because he loves the baby and he loves having a family, she just started ordering him around, yelling at him, barking orders at him, telling him what he can and can't do now. And he was like, what the fuck happened to you? Like, we're the same people. We just have a baby now. But in your mind, no. The relationship's changed. We're going to have to reorganize and restructure this deal. We're going to have to sit down. And this is how it's going to go now. I'm going to shit in your mouth.
It's time to renegotiate, and you have no negotiating power in this negotiation.
Yeah, she kept threatening to take the kid away. That was her big thing. Take the kid away. I'm going to move in with my parents. Like, all kinds of crazy shit, man. And just immediately. And he went from being like the happiest guy, I'm psyched, she's perfect, we get along so well, we're going to have a baby together, this is going to be amazing, to fuck, dude, I don't know what to do, fuck. Like, he was just constantly stressed out, his eyes were darting around the room. And
yeah, I mean, that sounds like the old days when you had to stay married. Right?
When was that?
That was our parents' generation. They stayed married. They hated each other. I'm not saying specifically, but you know what I mean? Like that divorce, they just didn't do it. They just stayed married. They were like, yeah, we've been married for 50 years. Don't particularly like each other, but we got to stay married because we made a vow, you know. I mean, that's how it was. It was a generational pressure, right? And now they say the opposite is true. Like you have one bad day, yeah, it's enough of this shit.
Well, it's a religious thing too, right? You know, like a lot of people don't want to get, like Catholics especially, did not want to get divorced. That was a big thing.
Yeah, it was like an unforgivable sin.
Yeah, when I was young, it was a big deal. Someone talked about getting divorced. I remember when I was a little kid, like a lot of it was like they would start bringing up the church.
Yeah.
You know, about the church doesn't want you getting divorced. You know, in the eyes of the Lord, you're married. You should work this out. And, you know, part of the problem is who you are when you meet. Say if you meet, you're 25, you know, you fall in love, you get married when you're 30. Who you are at 30 is not who you are at 40. You are a different fucking human being.
But you have a much better chance then than really young. Like I have a niece, she's 26, and she's engaged. And I'm still waiting to see how this plays out because he's 23. And I'm just like, too young. Like, you know, because just think who you are at 23 to who you are at 30.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Totally.
You know, so it's like if you grow up together, that's cool, and you know you go through those bumps together, but it's too easy to be like a whole different person. And so, I mean, when I moved out here, when I came to LA, I worked in aircraft. So I went to aviation high school in New York. Lockheed Aircraft discovered this high school that trains airplane mechanics. So they literally hired hundreds of us, like, move to LA, you got a job. I knew more guys, 18 and 19, who married their girlfriend because they didn't want to, like they were leaving home, you know what I mean? Like, I'm starting life, we're going to get married. Consequently, I knew more guys who were divorced at 21.
I would have married my girlfriend in high school. When I was 18, I would have definitely married her.
Really?
100%.
How long you think it would last?
A week, couple months at the most. She was a very nice girl, but she moved across town. Not across town, across the state, like an hour and a half away, and I was just so sad. Yeah. You know, I couldn't believe it. God damn, she's all the way over there. If she wanted to get married and we'd be together, I would have done it.
I will say, without exaggeration, of 100 guys I knew married before they were 20, I only know 2 still married. I only know 2. That
you know 100 guys that got married by the time they were 20?
They were, yeah. Guys were coming out, and it was like their first, like, I got a job, I got an apartment, let me send for my girlfriend from New York, let's get married. Jesus. And they were just doing it. There were 2 things that we did on a regular basis: go to weddings and bail guys out of jail. Because everybody was getting DUIs, you know? So it was like, we were like, all right, let's just keep a DUI fund for whoever gets picked up this week.
You guys had a fund?
We practically did. We had a network where we call, like, yeah, so-and-so's in jail. All right, I got $50. All right, I got $100, whatever, and we get them out. Yeah.
How much does it cost to get you out of jail for a DUI?
Back then, let's see, that was early 80s, probably about $400 or $500. It wasn't, yeah, back then it wasn't yet the big crime it is now. Like back in around, this is 80, 81, 82, getting a DUI was like a really bad ticket. But they didn't, you know, you went to jail for one night, but it wasn't like it is now where you know, now as a matter of fact, I taught comedy traffic school in the late 90s, and they said a DUI then cost you $10,000 by the time you paid for the fine and drunk driving school and a lawyer and all of that.
It's got to be a lot more than that now.
Yeah, it's probably 10 to 15,000.
But it's a big crime now, right?
Big crime, yeah.
Yeah. When I was in high school, a kid I went to school with, nice kid, got in a drunk driving accident and killed his friend. Never forget that.
I think that's the worst part, if you have that, because you got to live with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I can't imagine. It's bad enough if you have an accident, but if you're drunk and you have an accident or you kill your friend in the car or some shit like that, having to live with that's got to be the worst.
Yeah, and he was like, I don't think we were any older than 17 or 18 at the time. I think he was just learning how to drive, really. And I heard about it heard the whole story, and I knew that he had tried to commit suicide at the hospital. He tried to jump out of the window. The cops told him, they came up to him while he was in the hospital bed and said, you know, you're a murderer now. And he's like, what? He's like, your friend's dead. You're a murderer now.
Damn.
And he's like, what? What? And he just freaked out. He just ran towards the window. They grabbed him.
Yeah.
And I was walking down the street in my neighborhood, and he was walking, you know, towards me. And I saw him, and he saw me, and we looked at each other, and I said, how you doing, man? He said, hi. And I'll never forget the sadness that just it was oozing out of his body.
Yeah, they had this.
Poor bastard.
They had this commercial, and it was like the last text of people who died texting. Did you ever see that one?
No, but there was a guy, I think he was a publicist to Paris Hilton or something like that. Like one of those. Like I think it was Paris Hilton's publicist. Drove off the fucking mountain in Malibu. You know, there was crazy winding roads. And he was he made a text about his dog, like, LOL, she's so cute. And, like, the dog was in the car with him. And then fucking off I forget the specifics of the case, but they found the dude at the bottom of the canyon.
Yeah.
And then they deduced, like, oh, this dumb fuck was
texting.
One single passenger. I mean, a dog by himself, not an accident, didn't collide with anything, just went off the side.
Just drove off the, well. I don't know. You'll never have me on the podcast again. People are like, this is the saddest shit I've ever heard.
We've heard a lot sadder.
We're 10 minutes in and everyone's dying.
Well, you don't think, when you're driving and you're drunk especially, you don't think it's going to happen to you. That's the real problem with people.
Everyone thinks it's someone else. I can drive. I'm okay.
Well, that's what alcohol does to you, though. Alcohol has you convinced that everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, you hold all of your perceptions off, so you think I'm all right.
Which is like the exact opposite of pot. When you smoke pot, you're like, I can't fucking drive. Dude, there's no way I can drive. Like, driving when you're high, everything works. Like, you can hit the brakes, you can make turns, but you're convinced that there's no fucking way you're going to be able to make this exit. Like, the exit's over there, I got to get over there, fuck. I remember one of the first times I ever drove when I was high. I just couldn't believe I was driving. I was like, this is so bad, this is so bad. Meanwhile, I was going 55 miles an hour, staying in the lane, was very aware of everything, looking left, looking right, looking in the rearview mirror. But if I was drunk, I'd been like, I got this. I got it.
When I used to get loaded, I could drive high. I never liked being drunk because I always felt out of control.
Yeah.
You know, just not like crazy out of control, but sloppy out of control. And
you are. It's a terrible drug.
Yeah.
So.
Especially the next morning when you wake up sober in jail.
Oh, you realize what you did?
You know, that's when it hits.
Have you had DUI before?
Nah, knock wood. Got arrested for possession once. That's when I got sober.
Really?
Got arrested for possession of cocaine.
Do-do-do-do.
And
do-do.
Spent a night in jail. And I'm going to tell you, the happiest moment in court is when you show up for your possession of cocaine and there's a public defender. And I'm sweating like I don't know like what's going to happen or this or that. Because it was crack that, you know, I had. So I'm like, and he's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah. He said, did anyone tell you? He said, no. I said, oh, whatever you had, it wasn't cocaine. So you're just here on driving on a suspended license. I was like, guilty. Guilty? What? Suspended license? I don't even need you. It wasn't real?
You got someone sold you some bullshit crack?
Yep. Thank God.
Oh, you're so lucky. Wow. What was it?
Who knows? I don't know what it was. Whatever it was, when they tested it, it was not cocaine. I'll tell you what it was. It was the greatest day of my life.
Well, Joey Diaz would tell stories about giving girls chopped up aspirins and them acting like it's the greatest coke they've ever done in their life.
Yeah. People, well, so much of it is like psychological. But with crack, I mean, when it hits you, you know it. But this one, listen, Joe, I got busted. It was the dumbest thing. Like I was on this street, you know, crack road, whatever, you go to cop, right? So I had the rock, and I knew the rock because I had tried to smoke it, and it melted, and I was like, this is bullshit. So I go back like I'm looking for the guy, right? Like, what am I going to do? I ain't going to do shit. Like, I'm not hard, you know what I mean? I'm not a Crip. I'm just going back looking for the guy. And the cops swooped on the street, and they come in from both sides with cars, you know, like it's a whole thing, just shut down the whole street. So I throw the rock out of the window. It hits the gutter above the window, and lands in my lap. When the cop looked, I had a rock sitting in my lap. It's like, I tried to get rid of it, you know.
Yeah, you think a rock. If your window is open, a rock, you could just flick it like a booger.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I thought.
Did you try to throw it out the side window?
Yeah.
The passenger?
No, driver's.
Yours?
Yeah.
And it bounced off.
Literally
God.
hit that gutter, you know, that little rail above the window, and landed right in my lap.
Dude, that is shit luck.
Oh, man.
But great luck.
Great luck in the long run, but in the moment, not good.
Wow.
Not good.
Yeah, so that was the moment you decided to quit?
That night in jail, it was one of those things where, like, it's one of those moments where you realize I'm not supposed to be here. You know what I mean? Like with everything that had transpired in my life, like I was still in aerospace then, but you know, licensed airplane mechanic, good job, blah, 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 everything else. It just hit me in that moment, like, this is not how it's supposed to end. Because I knew guys who had gone down that road, you know what I mean? Like, I knew guys who were doing time and shit like that. And for a lot of guys, jail is just part of life. You know what I mean? Like, I go away for a couple of years, come back. Like, I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to become that guy. I had no aspiration. When I was a kid, one of the neighbor's sons, he was in Attica. And I will never forget this. We were going somewhere upstate New York, and we went to visit him. And when you go in and that gate closes behind you, like, I don't know if you've ever been in a maximum security prison, but when that gate, chung, never forgot that sound for the rest of my life. Like, oh, fuck no. This ain't, whatever I do, this ain't where I'm going to end up.
What did you go to Attica for?
Armed robbery.
God.
Yeah, he was an armed robber, and just he was a habitual criminal. He'd spent the rest of his life, like, he was never out of jail for more than a year. You know, because once you get in that system, then you're always getting picked up for something. So,
and the people that you know, the people that you surround yourself with, it becomes a pattern.
Yeah.
You're constantly around people that are doing things like that. It becomes normal.
That's it. Yeah, that's what it is. It becomes normal, and once it becomes normal, it's tough to crack. So.
How old were you when you first tried crack?
Let's see.
Speaking of tough to crack.
22, maybe 23, something like that.
And what was the scenario?
Well, actually, the first time I tried, okay, it started out, you know, like just partying as a kid, smoking weed, drinking beer, whatever, and then getting to a little cocaine here and there, you know, snorting it. And then I had a friend, and this had to be 84 maybe, 83, whatever, when people were still, you know, just starting to get into freebasing and crack and stuff like that. And he hit it, and he gave me the pipe, and I hit it, and I was like, holy shit. And I was like, it scared me. Like, this is too good. Like, I said, man, you better get off this shit. This is going to, like, you're going to lose everything.
Wow.
Because the high was so good, you know. And
like, what does it feel like? Describe it.
It's a rush. It's an overpowering rush of energy. And I don't know, like a lightning bolt hitting you with no pain, but just like you're buzzing, like your whole body is just, you know. I guess cocaine works on whatever the receptors of good feelings in your. I forget what it's called scientifically. It's dopamine, but they're also like nerve. There are nerve endings that make you feel good, and cocaine works on these. And crack is such an intense hit. It's like doing it all at once, and as opposed to when you're snorting it, you're getting high a little here, a little there. Now it's concentrated, and it's a rush, but it's beyond anything else. It is instantly addicting. It because it's a rush that you've never felt before or any of it. Now, I've never shot up, so I can't compare it to shooting drugs, but I had never felt anything like that, and it literally scared me. And then like a year and a half later is when I got into doing it myself, you know, with some other guys. It was like me and this other guy, we kind of said we're going to watch each other. You know what I mean? So it's like, if we're like, he'll tell me when to stop or I'll tell him when to stop. And it actually worked for as long as we were both in the same room. you know. But then,
So you decided to be like sitters for each other.
yeah, because you knew, because we'd seen people get sprung and lose everything. The first guy who turned me onto it, I watched him lose. He had this incredibly beautiful girlfriend. She dumped him. Then he lost his car. Then he lost his apartment. Like, it literally, crack will take. You know, I mean, Richard Pryor's jokes, like, that shit is true. Pipe will tell you they ain't shit. This is you and me. It's you and me. You don't need this, bitch. You don't need that fucking car. You don't need, you know. I sold a crack car. I sold a car I had for $500, you know, to smoke that up.
How often were you smoking it?
At the end, I was daily, as often as I could get the money.
Wow,
you know?
daily.
Yeah, as often as I could get. I still had a job almost to the end. You know what I mean? And I got laid off from my job. So when I got my paycheck, that's when it would start. And it was always the same bullshit. Like, all right, I'm only going to do like 1 8-ball. I mean, that's like, spend $150. That's going to be it, you know? So you get that, and then you smoke that up. You're like, all right, I'm only going to do 20 more. Like, I'm only going to do 20 more. I'm only going to do 20 more. And then you do that, and then next thing you know, it's the next day, and it's all gone. And the money's gone. And like I say, I'm not a criminal. Like, I didn't come from that. That's where my head was. My next stop was, okay, how do I steal something or rip somebody off or whatever?
Wow.
You know? And yeah, it's totally. And the bad thing is, once you get to that point, you're not getting high anymore because your brain's so fried that the drug's not working. Like, whatever the nerves and the brain cells and stuff are fried, so you're smoking it, but you're not getting that rush anymore. You're chasing it, you want it, but you can't find it.
So the initial rush that you get the first time you do it is just overwhelming, and then everything else after that diminishes more and more?
It's you know, like Sade's song, it's never as good as the first time. That's the whole thing with drug addiction. With any drug, it's so good that first time that you're chasing it and you can't get that feeling again. I think that's the difference between addicts and regular people. Like, regular people, like, you get high and you're like, okay, I'm good. You know, I'm high. I'm having a good time, but this or that. But when you're an addict, it's like you want that ultimate feeling that you got that one time, and you will sacrifice everything to get it.
Yeah, I've never fucked with coke. I don't know what that feeling is.
Coke in general is an up drug. It ups your energy and heightened sense of awareness. That's why, like, you get coke paranoia. Like, I had coke bugs one time.
Coke bugs?
Coke bugs.
Like crawling on you?
That's what it feels like, something's crawling in your skin and you're scratching. But people have cut themselves open.
Oh,
you know what I mean? But I'll never forget that. That was the weirdest thing, because it literally felt like there were bugs crawling out of my skin, and I'm just like, you know. And but it does that, like, because it affects your nervous system. And this is the extreme. This isn't the, you know, snort coke with a chick in the bathroom of a club. You know, this is beyond that. You know, so, this is beyond the fun part.
Did the snorting grab you as much as the smoking it, or was the smoking it where it really...
The snorting was good, but snorting is also hard on you, like your nose gets fucked up. And, you know, in the 80s, there were a lot of deviated septums, you know. There were a lot of plastic surgeons putting noses back together in the 80s. But,
so it eats through your nose? Is that true?
It literally eats through your nose.
I always wanted to know if that was true.
Yeah, that center membrane goes away, and your nose just becomes one big nostril. And
probably better for cardio.
Yeah, well, there you go. Oh, I used to work out, man. I used to get coked up and work out at a 24-hour gym. If I wasn't in shape, my heart would have exploded with some of the shit I used to do. But you do it for the rush, because you're coked up, and then you start lifting, and you know how it is. You get that pump,
right? And
now you're like, and you just feel like you can fucking explode, you know. And I'm sure my heart was doing 150 beats a minute at least. You know?
And you were coked up lifting weights.
Oh yeah. That was one of the reasons I think that I was able to hide it, because I didn't look like a crackhead, because I didn't lose weight, because I got coked up and worked out. You know,
But did you eat too?
I ate when I wasn't on it. I didn't eat when I was on it, but I ate when I wasn't on it. So.
But you were doing it every day.
Yeah. But, well, every day as long as I had the money. The money would run out. So if I got paid Thursday every day lasted till Saturday, maybe Sunday, and then you just get a little chip here and there, a little piece, but nothing to keep you high all day. So, I mean, I did a lot to hide it. You know, I led this dual life. Like, I worked during the day, and I was the airplane mechanic, and then when I got off work, I just locked myself up in my apartment and did coke.
Wow.
Drank. I lived like that for, my life was fully like that for a little over a year. But the worst part, the last 2 years, was when it was bad. It was bad.
So you went crazy for a year, where you just, dude, were you drinking just to try to calm your heart down?
No, you drink because, first of all, your torch was a little cotton ball dipped into 151 rum.
Okay.
So you had 151 there, so you would drink that because you have it. And you drink...
The torch.
Yeah, in other words, like you don't cook crack with a lighter.
You don't?
I hate giving crack lessons.
Please do.
On the podcast. But
don't
you
worry, because I won't.
No, you don't hold a lighter. You need a torch. You need like a hotter flame. So you would take, and I'm trying to remember how we did it. I'm trying to remember what you dipped into the rum. And it's great that I don't remember, because I remember the screen was this chore boy, which was like a steel wool with no soap in it. That's what you used as a screen in the pipe. But I forget how I did the torch. But anyway, the torch, you would dip it into 151 rum.